Welcome back to Tucson, Arizona for the men's semifinals featuring Alvarado and Chris Watkins from Spring Valley Lake, California. My name is Dave Vincent. Chris Watkins serving here. World finalist in the senior division in Ireland 2012, where he made it there and then lost to Duxie Walsh, and then, Alvarado Jr. He's got that career. Currently ranked in the top 8 of the pro men at plus 40, and he goes up against one of his sparring partners back home. Nadi wearing the white shirt. Score here is 1-0. It's 1 game to 25. This is not Nadi's first appearance on ESPN. He's one of the regulars. Watkins fights that ball off and gets hit in the stomach and almost gets back to the front wall. Alvarado walks back up there. Nadi said something interesting here in the booth before the match started, in that he would have taken the invite in the top 8 to play with the regular young dudes, but he felt that his body was just getting tired in October. Certainly coming out of the U.S. Open, it's so tough to talk to somebody who's above 40 and say, do you want to play in the top 8? I don't know if I can do this again. So Nadi said, I thought I would just do this one. I need the workout, but I just don't want to kill myself. I like that shot right there. Look at that shot. Amazing athleticism from Nadi Alvarado Jr. Making Watkins run around the court here.
Side out.
So Junior is going to take maybe a couple of these race stops off and play in the 40s and toggle and pick and choose to try to see if he can still keep his top 8 ranking before the Players Championship in Salt Lake City, and then make a decision if he can squeak in at 7 or 8 on that list, make a decision then if he wants to play in the Big Players Championship. It all comes down to the points. I think what he's trying to position himself for is to be qualified to play in either the seniors or the regular 8 at the same time, and then have to choose between both of those when the time comes.
4-0. 5-0.
You're watching the WPH Race for 8. This is the senior tour on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app from Tucson, Arizona. Nadi Alvarado, long-time professional career.
6-0.
Now heading toward the 23rd year on tour for him. Chris Watkins has trouble defending that serve in the home court, and it's most certainly even harder back here
7-0.
in Tucson with the elevation not really playing a factor. It's just this court has a lot of strange bounces. It's a show court, but it's everything but if you've ever played on it. And because it is the most popular court in Arizona, court number 1, it's got a lot of wear and tear. You've seen some strange bounces here. Back wall glass has scratches on it. It seems that you'll see light come in from outside from areas you can't identify. Little laser beams that'll come into the court, and sometimes you'll try to hit a ball off the back wall and you look back and right into the sun, but then you can't find out where it's at to try to close the blinds. It's kind of a strange court. See how far that ball bounces off the ground after it hits the ceiling here. Everything's cement here. When it comes to those walls.
Hold on. 10 seconds. All right, time is in. 8 serves, 0. Short. 1 serve.
There's a rare side out here. Let's see what Watkins does to
0-8.
get some points off Alvarado. There's only about 2 people on the planet that would know what a weakness of Nadi's is, and Chris would be one of them. The other 2 or the other 1 that would know, his dad, also watching this broadcast, and then John Bike, and maybe even John Robles. You saw some inspired ball there from Chris Watkins, and then Nadi just lackluster. Takes that ball around the revolving door with the left hand into the left corner for a kill. Gets the side out.
0.
Our referee is Dan Armijo. It's 8-0. 1 game match to 25. Win by 2.
No. 1 serve. Nine zero.
Chris Watkins punches that fist past Nadi Alvarado, who was slow to get out of the gates. Now Chris asking for a towel here. Watkins coming from the high desert of Spring Valley Lake, California, Hesperia, where he lives. He too is a character. I believe this is Chris Watkins' very first senior attempt since turning 40, since we started the tour.
Zero 9. No. Second serve.
Big setup, nope, he hits the side wall. Chris takes it around with the left hand and dips it in before the front wall, side out. Nadi Alvarado serving at 9.
9-0.
This tour is brought to you by Edel Handball at edelhandball.com. That's EDTL.
Side out.
Tucson, Arizona at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club.
0-9.
About 150, 200 handball players that play out of this facility alone.
Point.
Of those, well over 100 are active.
1-9. Side out.
That was a huge setup off the back wall. Not sure what Watkins was trying to do there, but it certainly wasn't
9-1.
part of the program. Coming up a little later on, we'll have the men's semifinals. Paul Brady going up
10-1.
against David Fink. You're also going to see Emmett Pichot in the other bracket versus Luis Moreno. That should be interesting. Fink and Brady up at 4:30 Mountain Time. It's going to be in 1 hour from now.
1-10. One serve. Point.
Chris Watkins has a deadly serve down the right.
2-10.
Seems that he found something there with Nadi's
3-10.
left hand. Nadi not happy with himself here. See if Chris stays with that same serve to the left. But he's jamming that ball into that left wall after the serve. Not sure what Chris was doing there.
No, no.
Couldn't back up your big win with another one today? Huh? Only got one in you? What? I mean, that was impressive yesterday, you know.
This is the race for 8. And you see Chris Watkins doing what we all do. It's like he had the exact same shot that Nadi had. And he's yelling at himself saying, you know, why didn't you do that when you had the chance to do it? See what Nadi does here. They both decide to play this little tiddlywinks thing with their left hand.
We know that.
Chris overhits the ball, very similar to the one that Nadi overhit, and then Nadi puts it away, and Chris is mad at himself for not being able to
10-3.
do what Nadi just did to him earlier when he had that almost identical shot.
One serve.
We might be able to give you some bonus coverage here with Tracy Davis versus Courtney Peixote in the women's semifinals. After this one concludes. This is the one-game match at 25, win by 2. Halftime at 15. Player that hits 15, even if they were serving, could very well be returning serve after the break. It all depends on who served first to start the match. So if you serve first, start the match, you'll be returning serve after the 15th point after a 3-minute break. Very similar to like football or basketball's halftime, except for the break's only 3 minutes long.
11-3. Three. Thirteen, 3. Three, 13.
Chris Watkins had a huge setup off the back wall. It's what he's been working toward, is to get that setup, and Nadia Alvarado finds himself back in the server's box after a swing and miss off that setup. Those were frustrating too, because you are certainly going in there with one intention, that is just to get your opponent to overhit a ball or to give you a setup or make a mistake, and they give you the setup and then you swing and miss.
3-13. Thirteen-3. Point. Fourteen-3.
Nadia Alvarado 1 point away from heading into halftime here. And I think he almost got it there with that cracked serve. And there it is. Nani gets that 15th point. It's going to be a 3-minute break. We're going to take one too. We'll be back for the second half. Stick close here. The men's 40 semifinals on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
Rethink what you know about this Vegas icon. Elevate your expectations at the Stratosphere Hotel, Casino, and Tower. See what's new, up, down, and all around.
In 1905, Thomas Beverly Pennock settled out west to start a family construction business. Over 100 years and 5 generations later, T.B. Pennock & Sons continues on today. From our world-class concrete at the San Diego airport to our recovery efforts in New York after Hurricane Sandy. We take pride in what we build, and we will never forget who we build for. We are T.B. Pennock & Sons.
Ahern Rentals is the largest independently owned and operated rental business in the United States. We are proud to maintain outstanding working relationships with over 100 manufacturers, including JLG, Skyjack, Genie, Kubota, Multiquip, Honda, and many more. From coast to coast, Ahern Rentals is here to service your equipment rental needs. For a complete list of locations near you, please visit us at www.ahern.com or call 1-800-400-1610.
ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. We are back in Tucson, Arizona at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club. My name is Dave Vincent. I find myself watching that Loop Rollins ad, and I'm thinking to myself, this guy is really good. I want to welcome in Anna into the booth. Anna.
Hi.
Hey, you just saw Loop Rollins. He's one of our friends.
Yeah.
How does that feel? No, when you watch that commercial, you have to say to yourself, that guy's pretty talented.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he knows what he's doing, right?
Yeah.
We've had him over at our house a couple times to eat dinner, that wild cowboy, and he tried to lasso us. Is that right? Is that how it worked out?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're experiencing handball here. You've played in a couple tournaments before. Why do you like to play handball?
Well, it's very interesting on how the ball turns back to you, and then
Okay,
you,
that's
like,
different.
when you hit it, it like does like these cool turns,
Okay.
and have like it's like fast and really cool.
15.
It's interesting because it's one of the very few sports where you actually hit the ball and it'll actually come back to you.
Exactly.
I mean, in
It's
ping
like
pong, you're always
tennis,
you hit
but
the ball,
it's
but they
different.
you have your opponent hitting it back to you. This is like a wall. You're facing a wall, and the ball's rebounding from it. So
Uh-huh.
even though your opponent is someone you're playing against, you're standing next to them.
Yeah, and you have to like watch out very carefully for the ball. So like if you miss it, then you lose,
Right.
or the other player wins. So it's very tricky.
It is actually it's a very tricky thing. And you're here, you're watching it, you're helping with the tournament desk, and you're one of the volunteers and support staff, and we wanted to thank you for, well, doing what you do.
Sign out.
Helping everything grow, I guess is what they say.
Thank you.
You're growing it, the
I've
sport
been
of handball.
helping a lot of people like get their shirts.
Wow,
and
that's a tough thing.
Yeah,
Now, my normal
3:15.
broadcast partner couldn't do that. You know that, right?
yeah.
He couldn't help anybody with their shirts. So we thought we'd bring you in and say hello and thank you for your help this tournament, as you've been doing a wonderful job at tournament control. Also,
Thank you.
play
You
handball.
too.
Oh, wow, thank you.
15-3.
I was actually fishing for that compliment. I figured if I gave you 4 or 5, I'd at least get 1, and that'd be 1 more than I'd get from anybody else all day long. So this is a 1-game match to 25. Who is that player up in the front right there getting the ball? What's his name? Now, we'll see what kind of fan you really are.
I know that I've seen him before a lot of
15-3.
times,
Mhm.
but
Just name somebody in his family. That's really good. Well, he's sleeping in your bedroom as you
Yes.
are forced to sleep in the guest bedroom, so he's one of the house guests back home.
Alan, what?
It's Naughty
3:15.
Alvarado.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and his wife Carrie.
yeah.
Okay.
Point.
Well, I thought Naughty was able to transcend and be,
They're not hearing me.
more of a
4:15.
sports figure than you're acting like. But
Oh. I'm a great fan of him.
well, he's a good house guest. I hear he makes good scrambled eggs and stuff like that. Naughty Alvarado, who's winning right here, 15-4, is staying at our house.
5,
Yeah, and I'm sleeping on the
15.
guest bedroom.
Oh, that's
which
fun. Or we call it the Scorpion Room. Just kidding, bruh.
Bro,
So, what grade are you in now in school?
8th grade.
Okay, all right. So, just want everybody at home to know. We have an 8th grader here in the booth.
6-15.
Now, this guy up here in the front, Chris Watkins. He's a good friend of the broadcast crew.
What does he do?
He's a school teacher.
Besides-
He's a school teacher, and I'm sure you would not be happy to hear that. I don't know
No,
any kids
that
that really.
reminds me of school.
Yeah. This is a long rally here. Naughty Alvarado in the 40 semifinals against Chris Watkins. They play out of the same club. Can you believe that? Travel all the way out here to have to play each other.
Wow.
Wouldn't you think that they could just say, let's just skip this and we'll do
Time
this
out
back home when
for
we
second.
get back to California?
One left.
It's just not the way it works. But anyway, we
No.
wanted to introduce you and say hello, and also thank you for playing handball, supporting
You're
handball,
welcome.
and obviously also, Chris, following all of the top players as you do so well there when obviously you didn't know who Nadia Alvarado's name was, but that's okay. You know, everybody makes a mistake.
Yeah, I've been busy like selling shirts and everything that I don't have time to like memorize names and
That's tough to do. When you're selling shirts, it's hard to memorize a name. I mean, it's actually, I'm going to put that on my tombstone at some point. That's what it's going to say when I die. It's going to say, I couldn't memorize all the names because I was selling shirts. Well, you do it your way, I do it mine. But thank you for helping out with this family handball tournament that we have in Tucson, Arizona with Ana Paola, who stopped by just to, I guess, lend a hand here.
Time in. You scoop.
In this broadcast group, this booth that we have in Tucson, Arizona on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
Seven, 15.
You heard that score there from our referee,
No.
7-15.
One serve.
It's a one-game match of 25. You have to win by 2. Chris Watkins having a pretty good continuation of his tournament so far here. 7-15 is a good score, and that's a nice hit right there from Watkins, now getting his 8th point. Chris is starting to settle in just a little bit.
15. Point. Nine, 15. Point. Ten, 15. Short. Second serve. Fifteen, 10.
Oh, and look at that shot there
Side
from
out.
Chris Watkins, who grunts his way into a side out there, now 10-15. Let's take a quick replay here. It's a huge setup, but Watkins was fooled, just paddled his way into that shot.
10, 15.
Now serving at 10-15. Found himself down into single digits going into halftime, and then is the only one that's scored since.
Fifteen, 10. Point.
That's the first time Alvarado scored since halftime. It's been all Chris Watkins after the break. The momentum breaker is at halftime.
16, 10.
Those are the exact shots right there that Chris will remember when he's driving home.
17, 10.
Now Alvarado on a scoring tear of his own here. Men's semifinals of the 40 plus on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app. There looks to be bonus coverage coming up after this one, as there's a 30-minute gap in the schedule which would push Tracy Davis
Timeout. It's your last
and
1
Courtney
minute.
Peixote on the show court here, women's semifinals. It's not a race stop, it's not a ranked event, but it is certainly going to be a great matchup nonetheless. Depending on the time of this one, that'll be at 4 o'clock, and then the men's semifinals scheduled at 4:30. But that all depends on what happens here, as Watkins is extending this one, what seemed to be the makings of a very quick and easy second half for Nadia Alvarado. Chris is actually fighting, putting his talons in, and we find that this one is going to be competitive all the way to the end, it looks like.
Twenty seconds. All right. 19 serves 10. Short. 1 serve.
Nadia Alvarado comes from handball royalty. His father, the great Nadia Alvarado Sr., who's won the most national championships of all time, arguably the greatest player of all time. In fact, you kind of know when somebody is the greatest player because they have said your name the longest.
19-10.
And really, Nadia Alvarado's name's been probably said the longest or the most. And therefore, he probably is. There's a lot of probablys there, but everybody's got an opinion, but his name's been thrown out there as much as anybody's ever been thrown out, and that's how I kind of consider it to be the best. Nadi Jr. got to watch his father play and has that handball, the genetics. He's made handball a pro career. There's a beautiful shot right there from Chris Watkins, who considers himself part of that handball family of the Alvarados.
Glove change, 2 minutes.
And there's a 2-minute break. We're going to take one as well. Stick around as the players are going to change their gloves and their shirts. We'll have more action in 2 minutes here in Tucson, Arizona on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
The Tucson Racket Club is your home away from home. Join us for world-class tennis, handball, racquetball, and the new rage, pickleball. Or try one of our 160 weekly group exercise classes. Want to swim laps or play with your family in the pool? Enjoy our 2 junior Olympic-sized pools and wading pool that are open year-round. Then round out the perfect day with a delicious meal at our restaurant or sports bar. All at the Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where Country Club Road ends and fitness begins.
NFC, AFC, offensive linemen, defensive tackles, quarterbacks, and cornerbacks are all living united to ensure the academic success of millions of kids in our communities all the way to graduation day. But that won't happen without you. So take the pledge at unitedway.org. Make a difference in the life of a child. Suit up like your favorite NFL players and become a volunteer reader, tutor, or mentor with United Way.
Back in Tucson, Arizona, Chris Watkins here trying to get a late game surge. scoring some points against Nadi Alvarado, his sparring partner from Hesperia, California. Nadi from Spring Valley Lake, but some would argue that they're basically the same town.
Short serve. One serve.
Nope, referee called that score wrong.
No.
Players didn't pick it up. But when you're old, stuff like that doesn't happen.
One serve.
20-10 should be the call here, second serve.
Yeah, because the men's start at 4:30, but there's going to be a 30-minute break. Throw them on immediately. They both know.
And there's Alvarado scoring his 21st point, just 4 away from advancing to the finals of the 40s here.
$21-10.
Chris Watkins putting up a pretty good fight here in the 40s.
That's right.
Yeah, that score is right.
Yeah, he scored 2.
The score is right, the referee is right.
Now it's 22-10.
Well, they say the first thing that goes is your hearing. Chris Watkins stares down Nadi Alvarado after that left corner kill. $23-10. Point. Possible match point, serves 10. There it is. Just letting this one play out.
like-
Chris
it's
giving
like the 90s.
Nadi Alvarado a hug there after that 25th point. Referee says it best when he said just like the 90s. The 2014s are today's 90s. We have a special match coming up right around the corner on ESPN, the Watch ESPN app. At 4:30 Mountain Time, it's going to be David Fink and Paul Brady. Before that, though, we'll have Courtney Peixote and Tracy Davis with a women's exhibition semifinals match right here on the show court leading up to that men's semifinals. We want you to stick around for that. That'll be up next. Give us about 5 minutes or so here on ESPN and the Watch ESPN app.
The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club is your home away from home. Work out, relax, and refuel. All this and more can be yours. Call us at 795-6960 or visit TucsonRacketClub.com. The Tucson Racket and Fitness Club, where country club road ends and fitness begins.